What are we doing? How's everyone doing tonight? Just getting a little set up. Hopefully, hopefully I'm getting some stuff set up for the stream. I know I haven't actually really been a live streamer much, and I know that I'm supposed to have some stuff like followers and some notifications. It would be nice. I'm gonna get those eventually, soon. Let's see. I think I'm going to do something like this for today. We're going to see how I like this. I'm going to set it up some way like this so I can see chat here while we're doing some YAML hacking. You know what? I should update the title to not YAML. That would probably get more viewers. All right. You know what I do need to do though? I need to make all this smaller so I can see it, and I need to update the tags a little. Let's see if I can't update our tags here. No. No, I can't. Maybe I can. Who knows? I'm not finding what I'm looking for. So maybe we'll do that later. We'll put AssemblyLine in there. I'm probably going to be writing a lot of Rust for AssemblyLine. All right, so we have a problem with AssemblyLine, and that is we're trying to come up with the best way to let you run workloads in a sane manner. You know what? Let me copy this link and bring it on screen. So we've been having this discussion, and I'm just gonna kind of take you a little bit through it to get you to where we are. We have this. We're trying to build this system that allows us to run pipelines. And, Argo Workflows does that. We do have some requirements outside of Argo Workflows, and that's why we're going to take a look at this. So basically, we want some way to configure a pipeline run. And we want to be able to declaratively, I think we're actually going to also support YAML, which is going to be pretty cool because YAML is going to be able to do something like do this, but in a loop or something like that. It's going to actually make it probably more concise. I'm actually really excited about the YAML configuration, but we'll see. We'll see. All right, so we have this, and this was what I wrote up. This here, this was what my like. I'm gonna say that this is like our UX really, because this is how most people are gonna interact with the system. It's either this or the Lua, and so like this is really UX. This is driving the UX, how people are going to interact and whatnot. Um. So yeah. Now, what we've been arguing about is this right here, this dependencies. So basically what we want to be able to provide is the ability for this, where you can have 3 things execute, come back to a single thing, fan out to 2 things, fan out to these 6 things, these 3 things that depend on this thing that then fans back into a single container. That's basically what we want to be able to do, but we want to do it in the sanest, easiest way possible. As Russell was pointing out, like this can be hard to track down. What it depends on what and whatnots. Now, Russell actually had an idea, and I think that there's pros and cons to all of these different ways. And I kind of think that we were starting to hit on something kind of interesting. All right. So here, what Russell did, which I thought was interesting, is he did it like a graph database, which seems to make sense, as we're kind of being able to provide a graph. What he did was you make and describe the stations up here, and then you develop a strategy for those stations. This is then letting you say, well, run this station first here, and then this one depends on this one up here. The problem that I think, so I actually like this for the fact that you can look here, and the strategy is very clear of all of this stuff up here, because what Russell's point here. Oh, Russell, thank you very much for the 2 months. I don't have a notification for subscribers yet, and I feel terrible. Everybody say thanks to Russell. He just subscribed for 2 months with Prime. And that's on my list of things for this stream, is get something for that. Actually, another thing that I want to do is this, where I'm like talking to you guys. I want to have like right here maybe where the microphone is, or maybe over here. I don't know where yet. I want to have the chat that's talking, so that we can sit here and talk a little bit, and you guys can see what's being said that I'm talking about. So I think that would be really nice. So I'm gonna get that in, maybe hopefully this weekend. I'm hoping for Sunday to roll out these release with my news stream. So yeah. Anyways, thanks again, and sorry I don't have a subscribe. I mean, yeah, I don't have a subscriber thing notification. Sorry about that. All right. So what this does really well, that I want to point out, is it's really easy to look at your strategy without all of this other garbage. So, we could have a run a run command. What are we running? We could have, mount points and things like that. There's a bunch of things here. Think of any GitHub action. That is right. That panel should 100% go into disco mode, and it can, because it's communicating to a server. So it should. You're absolutely right. That panel right there, pointing is difficult. That panel right there, 100% should go into disco mode. This panel, when I get it soldered up, should also go into disco mode. This light here is just a lame little light that isn't programmable. So we should probably fix that at some point. I literally have to take it and charge it. It's battery. It's not great. Okay, so, but my problem with this, so I think that this was really great, and it brought out a very maybe even viable path. My one issue with it is if I look here and I'm like, oh, here's our unit test. What does my unit test depend on? I now have to go look for the unit tests in the strategy. So I'm coming down here looking for unit tests. Unit test is here, and now I can see that it depends on build. So to me, especially if you got into any sort of complicated workflow, I feel like this could get unwieldy quickly with understanding. Not only that, what if I accidentally deleted build out of the strategy? Obviously, that would be an error because things depend on build. And we would be able to alert you pretty quickly. But the other thing is, what if you didn't put unit tests in here? Nothing depends on unit tests, and so it would actually work. It would have like a runtime error where it's like, it wouldn't even necessarily, I mean, we should, if we go down this path, have a runtime error or some sort of feedback. And if we had like an AL check, it could definitely say, hey, station was, unit test was declared, but never put in the strategy. So we could do some stuff around that. But then we have unit tests for our thing that runs unit tests. And then what tests the testers? This is getting meta on me. It's like, so I agree. And this is why, Russell, if you ask me, I'm super excited about the Lua. Because I think Lua solves this. But so Russell, it wouldn't fail because it doesn't exist in the plan. You say, or strategy. It doesn't exist in the strategy. It just exists. It's just up here or not there. It's just here, but it's not in the strategy. So it doesn't fail because it's not part of what you want to run. Does that make sense? You just declared it up here, and I'm assuming you meant to run it. But it's not in the strategy, so there's no reason it would run. Now, you're right. If you made a strategy with something that doesn't exist up here, that should fail because the strategy is going to go and try to find it and run it. But I agree with you. I think we hit a good problem of and this is what I was saying at the very beginning. I got kind of excited about this because we kind of hit our like this is our UX. This is how users, the majority of users, even if a UI is built, are going to experience our product. And so this, I know that like I hope nobody had their feelings hurt because I know that in the Discord we all had our opinions and it seemed like we didn't all agree. But I actually think like it was really great on how we're actually thinking about this. Like from the get-go, what is the UX of our open source project? Now, I'm I'm partial to kind of how these people have done it. And the reason is it makes things in serial really easy. You just thank you. Thank you, Russell. That makes my feelings hurt. Um All right. Um but to Russell's point in this way, it can get really busy because not only do you have, the 3 steps that are in here, what they're running, what to mount. If we wanted to mount the drive in a specific spot, like, or if this is going to mount, we would have to do something like mount, volume mount is what I was doing, and then like, whatever it is. And this is YAML, so you should quote it in strings. If you don't know that, you should quote everything in strings in YAML. That will get you in trouble. But to his point, this gets a little bit messy with the YAML. And I think honestly, this is why I'm so excited about the Lua. I think this is really easy to describe in Lua. So this station runs 3 containers. And the great part about this is these 3 containers can run on the same machine, and we literally can mount a drive. And that's actually pretty awesome. And it can go really fast, and we can do a lot of amazing things with this. The other great thing that I like about this is just from a what I do on a day. Yeah, actually that's yeah, we could do like input output. I wasn't trying to come up with all of that right now. I was just saying like this could have more stuff than just this. Like this is like the bare minimum. I also gave the example of run. Because if you probably want to run something on this, so we could grep my thing, and we want to output that into an environment variable, or of not what I meant to do thing, whatever we're doing here. The YAML just grows, and I agree. Now, I think that this is where I still like this, and I'll get into that. But I want to take the points of this, or the points of this here, where you have a really good strategy, and it's easy to read, and it's straightforward. I don't like the disconnect, but I think maybe we can solve that with Lua. Maybe we can solve it in the YAML. I don't know. I wasn't expecting this to be the hard problem. I wasn't expecting us to get stuck on this. But so one thing that I do like about this, and this is probably just from my experience, a lot of my GitHub actions that I use in production are serial. I have a lot of steps that I want to run one after the other. And this makes that super easy. I don't have to say that this step depends on this step, depends on this step, because all the steps inside of a station run serially. And that means I don't have to tell it. And if I didn't say that this depended on checkout, these would run in parallel, because I didn't say that they ran in serial. Now, this does get a little bit hard, or in it. I had it in it. Again, don't take this as a real pipeline. I just threw something together to demonstrate something. This is just the first hard problem. 100% agree. 100% agree. And I think also what I want to say is, I think we have our community call next Tuesday. That's the next office hours. What I want to say is we pick something by then, and we run with it. And if it sucks, and we just move on, and we say, okay, well, we're ripping this out, but this is the way we're going until we know of a better way. I think that's what I would like to do, not get too stuck on making this perfect. I'd like to make this perfect because this is the UX again. But at the same time, we just, at some point, need to move on. Move on with life. All right. So this gets a little confusing. You have to go find where it's declared, and then you can find what depends on it. And then finding the entire graph is a little bit difficult, because this depends on checkout, which depends on init. So you can start to see how this graph could become difficult. Now we can solve this in one of two ways. We can solve this in one of two ways. The one way is a UI, a graphical user interface that runs locally that will read this in and lay it out for you. That's one way to actually make this a little bit easier, is just something that parses this YAML and builds a graph based off of it. I don't actually think that would be that difficult to make. React Native, and you can even run this on the server as well, so you can see the server side graph parsing as well. I don't think that would be too difficult. on a pull request that changes the pipeline, it would be really cool to see a diff of the pipelines. Yeah. That's one way to solve it, but it doesn't solve it while you're in here and while you're trying to do stuff. To solve it in here, we can do this like this. Another thing that we could do if we wanted to go with this is have this strategy be generated. I'm not sure I really like that, to be honest. I think the generation... what I had been thinking was that we generate a strategy, and that's actually what's used, and you can go and update the strategy in like a separate file, but I think that just gets... I don't like that. I don't like it, and so I think it's a bad idea. The other way is, what if our strategies, this part, was separate from these? So this got me thinking, maybe I've used GitHub Actions too long. And I was reading what you've done here, Russell, and I was like, what if our pipeline definition was completely separate from our station definitions? What if we separated the two? Where we're like, yeah, create as many stations as you want. And I still, personally, this is just me personally, I still would like stations to just run serially like this, because for me, that solves an easy case. Like, this is 90% of my pipelines. I don't run stuff in parallel, because it's like, check the code out, lint it, then build it. Then there's a graph of stuff that happens where there's like unit tests and integration tests and end-to-end tests that can break off. But those first ones, man, really serial. The same with my pipeline to build a Docker container. Check out the code, build the container, scan the container, push the container. I don't really want those parallelized, and all the work to do that would be difficult. So what I was thinking, and I don't know, maybe this is the worst of all worlds, is you create these stations all on their own. Either each one in its own YAML file, or all in one YAML file. I don't really care. And then the pipelines are purely their own piece of work that ties them all together, all the stations together. And so these would be completely separate. You have something that makes pipelines, and you have something that defines things you want to use in pipelines. Is that crazy? That might be crazy. That might be way too separate. Like, part of me feels like having it all in one feels nice. But then the other part of me would be like, does that make us create stations that are reusable? Could we create as a community a Rust Clippy and build station? I feel like we could. And then everybody could just use that. And sure, it might have 3 steps in it as it does Rust things. But you just use that station. Bam. I don't know. And then my thought here was, like, even if we do this, does our station file get bloated with, like, where do we mount points and in and out files? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I was just brainstorming, and sometimes that's dangerous. Sometimes that's dangerous. I was hoping some other people would join tonight and weigh in their opinion. Worst case, I can do another 20 minutes on Saturday if there's some people there. I know it's tough because you're right. There is no wrong answer. You know, what my gut says is this. GitHub Actions, Argo Workflows does it this way. We do it this way. Just because it makes it easy for people to switch. And then our solution to this is Lua. Because as I was writing it in the code here, basically all that would happen is that Lua would generate these things. So if you define your pipeline in Lua, then you could actually, you know, if you're looking at this where it's like a station has, I don't think I actually updated this. You know, our station here would have our dependencies. Really, this becomes a really easy Lua configuration to do. It would be dependencies dot boom 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 boom, and you could actually reference the Lua objects. Like it would be pretty sweet, I think. So I almost feel like we take this because it's similar to this. You know, I have stations, they have tasks. I personally think that we need something that is modifiable by hand. By code hand, but the better builder would be a graphical to show the. I agree. I think an easy stopgap though is if the graphical builds it and shows it, but you can edit it in Lua and YAML. You know, if you can get if you can just get this right here, what you did here, if all we get is this, a graphical interface, you can't click on them, you can't get anything, it just does this based off of this here, I think that's fine. I think that will be fine. If we can just print this out, yeah, and it can even just be, you know, printed in the same. Wow, that's super small. It can be just printed in the same mermaid if you like. I don't really care. And then that way, this actually still works for Lua because basically what would happen is everything in here parses into a pipeline. Whether it was Lua or it was YAML, it all comes into this same struct. And then the thing that builds that graph just uses this. So you could do whatever fancy thing you wanted with Lua, and you'd still have this. I think the end would be a modifiable, like click on it to dive into the section specs. Yeah, I think modifiable would be super cool. But modifiable is really only easy with YAML. YAML modifiable would be easy because like you could look at any one of these things, change it, and then save it. If it's Lua, it's not so easy because this doesn't serialize. Lua would be impossible. Effectively, if you want it modifiable by the UI, you don't use Lua. Because again, like I was saying, all it is this structure. I think you are currently trying to bait me. I will politely deny that and move on. Next, you're going to have us running Gentoo in the back end just to parse the YAML into something. Does NeoVim use Lua? Lua. This is kind of what I was thinking. Why not Python or JavaScript? This guy's a little salty. My goodness. The person was just asking a question. But we could have the Jurassic Park scene where they scroll through the files and it says, I recognize this. This is an assembly line system. Oh, I love movies and their complete disconnect from in reality. Man, this guy is really salty. I'm fine with Lua. I've been using it for my terminal, WesTerm. I don't. Okay, I say I've been using it. I played around with it, and then I went with a super simple one because I kept screwing it up, and I need to learn Lua better. I can show you guys what it is. It's let's see. Yeah, this is all I have right now. This is all I have. So when I said been using it, I did some other stuff, and it sucked. But I tried. What I wanted to do was that screwed that up. Oh. I know what I did there. My bad. What I wanted to do was basically when I was streaming, I wanted the font to be larger, and when I wasn't streaming, to make it smaller. So I was trying to program that in. That did not turn out very well. That did not turn out very well at all. All right. I'm gonna put any more conversations on this off, I guess, unless you have anything else to add, Russell. And then I just wanted to do a little bit on the null database because I need to make a video on that soon. I had some work to do on it. I do think that we need to offer YAML. I think that that's pretty important. Um, a lot of these systems are YAML, so ease of people coming over, I think YAML is important. I honestly think this wouldn't look horrible in Lua. I mean, we could even do it in like we could almost do it like Dagger, where there's a client server and you could do it in whatever language you want as long as you implemented the interface. So you could do Go or whatnot. That would be a little bit more work, um, but it would make it language agnostic. I don't know. Oh no! I wasn't saying Lua and YAML. Oh no, I wasn't becoming like. I do enough JavaScript in JSON, which I didn't even know was a thing until just the other day. I definitely don't want to do Lua in YAML. I don't even know that that would make anything better, honestly. No, I think that will scare people off more. Is yeah, we support YAML for sure. Gets into it, and it's just like it's just here let's see. And Lua code. Oh, that hurts me, but I say we don't do this one. I'll strongly say no. Oh, shoot. Sorry. Here we go. Yeah, we could do what is it? We'll do our meta Lua programming here. Not sure perfect is the word that I was going to use, but to each their own. I think I probably. Let's not do that one. Let's not do that one. This code is a dumpster fire. Am I on the right branch? I think so. Oh, yeah. And then you parse YAML. That sounds like something fun to make a video about. Um, oh, did I show you all these? I got these. Wait, if I put my. There is no face in this picture. There we go. I got these. Oh, I think I showed you the wrong side. Yeah. Risk 5. Risk 5. Now, I didn't realize. I mean, is that okay with you, Russell? I like I I didn't want you to feel like I was discounting what you said. Um because I didn't, and I honestly tried to think really hard on it. And I like the issues you brought up with what was going. Yeah, just there was no perfect answer, and then this way was kind of the way we've been doing it is kind of, or the way that I had started to go about it is kind of the quote unquote standard, the status quo. Um, and then yeah, you know what? Let me open an issue right now. I like the idea. Let's see. I need to do a. I will assign myself. You're more than welcome to take it from me if you like. I'm just gonna make a really simple one. But the other issue is, I mean, so honestly, I don't think that it was a crazy path. I think that it was super valid. It doesn't mean that I necessarily liked it, but I didn't think that it was crazy by any means. I think you brought up really good points, and that's yeah, like I didn't, yeah. And it's just it's a hard problem, and I think honestly we're coming to the fact that YAML doesn't solve it well. YAML is not solving it well. Oh, shall we? So I don't know, Russell. I don't know that anybody but me, you, and Sid are really going to delve into it unless if we bring it up on stream. I'll put a hold on here. I'll put a hold. I don't even. I think you and I are and Sid are about the only people that look at that look at these. Actually, even if somebody finds this, that would actually alert them to the thing. So I'll put it out there because that's what we're trying to solve right now. So if they do solve it before Tuesday, then they can present what they solved. I feel like. And I'll just throw up hold up here. No. Again, if somebody picks this up, yeah, whatever. Somebody solves it, I'll just delete it. Anyways, what I didn't realize about these RISC processors, not well supported. Not well supported. They actually don't show up as a USB device when you plug them in. So I had to get these USB to serial converters that do show up as USB devices so that I can connect it to this, so that I can flash it, so that I can update it so that it can be seen as a USB device. It's kind of fun. I'm excited about it. All right. So let's what I wanted to do for this one was basically when this runs, I feel like these shouldn't be here. Let me look at the code 1 second. I feel like let's see. Oh, I haven't done anything with it for a little while. Where's my null DB? It's been a couple of months, unfortunately. All right. Let's see. We have these branches. And yeah. Okay, I do have this. All right. So we can delete everything in experiments because we don't have any experiments for this branch yet. If we figure some things out that we want to show. So my experiments, actually, I shouldn't have deleted main. I'll do. If we have anything that we want to experiment and show off, we can do that here. I don't have anything at this point, but if we have questions and we experiment with something, we'll do it there. I am going to delete this. That was like if somebody wanted to follow the lesson and implement it in their language of choice, they could. I had some people on the first lessons, not so many on the second, the later lessons. And by not so many, I mean none. None. Otherwise, you have all the extra code for being a USB device that supports file system. Oh, that hurts me. But this device, this right here, is going to run full Linux, 64 frames per day. 64 frames per day. Now it's in focus. Make an earring out of it. It's not going to drive a monitor. All right, so the idea here was that this basically has these segments. And it has a main one. So when it's running, it has this null.database. This is the main segment that when it runs this. It has this right here. And then it makes segments that gets compacted. I am actually really interested in seeing how fast it runs stuff. That's like one of the things. I'm going to run it through some paces, like what it can do. And then my actual goal here is to hopefully get it where you can just plug it in with USB. If I can get it to where you can plug it in with USB and get a serial connection to it straight without buying one of these things, then my goal is to give these away to people that complete the Rust course, like the first 10 people that complete the Rust course. If I can't get this, I'm going to have to work on something else. I do have a few of these, but these are much more expensive. Much more expensive. So I'm not sure. I was planning originally on this would just be like first place. This is actually a pretty fantastic. It's 8 gigs of memory. It's not RISC though. It's not RISC. This is, so it's better. All right. So the problem that we're solving is that we actually lock this a lot. So we lock it when writing, and we lock it when reading. So the thing is, you read the earliest in the database. You read the earliest entry. So if we're looking for the entry for I, it would be this one. Oops, I accidentally edited that. It would be this one. Even if there was another segment, so we could have another segment here. It'd have some numbers. Null segment, I think is what it's called. And even if there was an I in here, this one would be old. This is old. And so this wouldn't be read. This is a dirty data. And a compaction, since we've already gotten that set up, would actually clean this up. But what we want to do now is we should never read this file. We should never read it. So what happens in I'm going to say a real database. What happens in a lot of databases, and this isn't true for all databases. This is something I want to make clear is like, there's a lot of ways to slice this. But one way that this is done, so we're going to open up this here. We're going to just scroll over here to an open spot. A lot of ways that this is done is basically, this is what you might think of as a write-ahead log. So it's not exactly the same thing as a write-ahead log, but it's effectively similar. I'll have to come up with a better way of describing that. But what you can do is, because what happens is when you want to write to this, right here, if there are 100 threads reading right now, actually, I should have done this as so this write can't happen until all of these reads are done. And then, oh, that is not what I meant to do at all. That is not what I meant to do. And then even worse, these reads can't happen until this write is done. for performance, for high performance, this is not a good thing. So this is the main log. Now, we've already covered why we need to write this to a file. Absolutely, 100%. This needs written to a file. So we're always going to have to write lock it. Fine. But what I want to do is get rid of these reads. Writing should never wait for a read, and reading should never block a write, is the idea. I actually love that I'm doing this live because you guys can hit me up with questions and stuff, and we can do experiments. And I think this will really shape making a fantastic video. So I hopefully you all like it as well. But yeah, anyways, I think it will make a really good video in the end. All right. So the way we're going to solve this is that on a new request in, on a new write request, this is going to get two things before we say okay. So before we respond with okay, we're going to actually split this into two things. Two things are going to happen here. The first and the second. So the first thing here that we're going to do, and this is behind me. All right, the first thing that we're going to do here is write this to a hash map. We're going to keep it simple. There's other ways to do it than a hash map. There's better ways to do it than a hash map because a hash map is going to consume your memory. And this actually comes down to, what do you want your database to be? A system like Redis is going to do stuff like this in memory. And the reason is Redis tries to be as fast as possible. And so it doesn't persist some of this stuff. But if you, and this actually goes into our lessons on indexes and how indexes work. Indexes can either be all in memory. And if you do your index via a hash map, it actually is required to be all in memory, because actually saving a hash map to disk and reloading that from disk is not efficient in any manner. That might be a cool experiment when we get to that. But the first thing that we're going to do, and for now, we're going to write this to a hash map. So we're going to have key value hash map. Hash map is simple. We're keeping it simple. We're doing one simple step, moving on. So again, there are fancier ways to do this, but this is... So the reads writes are processed in order, i.e. reads after writes can start as they are blocked by a blocked operation. I think what you're asking, the answer is yes. And then we also have to write a file here. So basically, key value, but this is the hash map here. Actually, you know what? Let's redo this. We're gonna put this down here, and up here we're going to do, this is a hash map. And this is our main log file. Now, you might be asking, why is this in a file? And remember, we have to. If this server crashes, null db. If this server crashes, we actually need to be able to read these from files. So this is still critically important. What happens on a reboot or a crash is this main log file is read into memory. So now there's a little bit of a startup cost. A lot of servers actually have some sort of startup cost because they're doing something like this. They're re-indexing, they're finding their state, whatnot. Um, and so this is what this is really important to. So we always write never read. That's the idea behind this now. And now that means writing is never blocked by reading. Because if we get a read request in here, so if we get a read request in here, that read request goes to this. And yes, this hash map needs to be atomic. So if the write comes in before the read, it needs to update it before the read happens on it. Because again, it's order of operation. Whoever hit this first, if the read comes in before the write, the read should read it first, and then the write should hit it. If they're at the exact same microsecond, it basically on which CPU instruction hits first, and that's fine. Like there's nothing you can do about that. If the data isn't there yet, the data isn't there yet. The oldest value is still the correct one there. And this allows us to never lock this file here ever again for reading. For reading, it will never be blocked for reading. It will just get written. And then this will get compacted. That will be the only other time that this gets locked, is to compact it off into a new file. So that will still happen, which I guess technically is reading it. But the compaction is a little bit different. Does this and a lot of you are probably like, this is a write through cache. It's kind of like a write through cache, honestly. Except it's in system, in system. It's in the application. It's a write through cache inside the application. I wanted to point this out. I know like this isn't a hard problem to solve, but I wanted to point this out because I don't know that databases are the only thing that could benefit from this. I mean, obviously it needs to be a stateful application. Obviously, you don't want to do something like this in your stateless application because this is all around state and managing it. But and so like databases aren't the only stateless application, and if you're in a stateless application or a stateful application, this is a good way to help with some threads. Yes, there will be a new file to start. Actually, this is probably an optimization we could do. Right now, and sorry, I have never actually created a database from scratch. Never done that before, so I'm gonna have some optimizations too through it. I did this where basically, if we go through and look through the code, I reuse the null.database as the main uh you know how much, and I know that's pressure that I put on myself, but like I feel like when I make a YouTube video, I have to be the leading expert in databases. And like there are so many people that know more than me about databases. I just do this because I do know a lot, and I know more than probably like at least 25% of the people out there, software engineers out there. And so, yeah, sometimes I put a lot of stress on myself to be like, but yeah, no, I've never actually made one from scratch before. It's always been like, yeah, have I downloaded Postgres's code and built it and played around with it and changed it? Absolutely. Have I worked on Aerospike? Absolutely. I've had that code. I've done stuff with it. Like, but did I start it from scratch? Nope, wasn't there. So anyways, so one optimization that we might look at doing, and I don't know whether to make a whole video out of this, but like one thing that I did here is main dot or null dot database is always that main log. And basically what happens when we need to go compact, so basically if we look at our file compactor here, our file compactor says, hey, do we need to compact? Let's see, where, I haven't touched this code for a couple months. Give me a second. Give me a second. I'm an idiot. Maybe it's in utils. So it's on write. So this is get. This is post. Okay, so here we're writing to the log. All right, so this is how we currently do it. Basically, and this is really dumb right now, is if the line count is greater than 64. So we said arbitrarily 64. Really, it should be like how much data is in it, because then you can do like sectors on a hard disk and things like that. You can do a lot of optimizations. But again, we're not. I'm trying to take it little bits at a time. I know that this is dumb just to have a hard coded 64. I'm trying to do it one step at a time. So if we have more data than we want, we actually do this. We basically save a copy of the main log. We open it with truncate on, and which just deletes everything in the file and writes a new one. So this is, this is how we're doing it. And this is on the post. So we're getting our write lock on the main file. And again, this is not the best way to do locking. Trust me. We do our write lock instead of a read lock. And then write the value. So we do write lock it right now. Now we could do something different than this here. And I think this is one of the optimizations, like since I've done this, that we could do. What I was thinking is basically do something like this. Main log 1 dot db database, I think is what I called it. Main log 2 dot database. I don't know the performance hit, if there is any, in this, what I'm doing here. Because in theory, this does have to copy it first before it does the write. And so if you were doing a bunch of writes, I think that this would be bad. If you were trying to do like heavy write throughput, I think that this could be bad. And the reason is this has to, it will lock the file, and it will lock it as long as the file system needs to copy the file. And so an optimization, which I think is a far-fetched like not a far-fetched, but like one that is really there for like pushing the last little bit out of there, is where we don't copy it. When it's full, when that segment is full, we increment this by 1. And basically then the logic comes that the newest database, the file, is the latest one. So the newest segment is the latest one. So on startup, we will save what the latest database is. This will be like 2. And really there should be a variable that's like, we can say it's like, I don't know, latest segment. And that will allow us to basically never do this copy, which is expensive, and never lock to copy the file. So then basically this just goes on and on and on like this. And this would be 3. And so when the server dies, crashes, or whatnot, and restarts, one of the new things, here we have to repopulate this hash map. Here we're going to go through and check all the main logs and see which the latest one is. And when these get compacted, they'll get deleted. So let's say these get compacted into a segment over here, and that's fine. They'll still just go away. They will be gone. And then these get deleted. But we're not going to start down. This will just be forever incrementing. Forever going up and up and up and up. Maybe I do that both of those in this one. Would that make sense? Maybe. Since both that way it's like a good 20-minute video instead of making it like super simple and just or would it be better? I don't know. Would it be better to do 2 like 8-minute videos or 1 20-minute video? Not quite sure. How would I split the 2 vids? Well, if I did it as one video, I would name the video something like performance enhancements for our database. If I did it in 2 individual ones, I would probably call this first one something like basics of a write-ahead log. Again, it's not exactly the same thing as a write-ahead log. That's what was kind of what I was thinking about doing, and I was thinking about maybe going a little bit into the theory of what a write-ahead log is in something like SQLite. Actually, that's probably, yeah. Shoot. The write-ahead log now, I feel like, is almost 2 videos. One video, just like what is a write-ahead log? How do databases use it? And what problem are they solving using it? And then the other one is, how are we going to do it? How's a simple way to write a write-ahead log? The other one is just like, don't. And I guess both of these are just like thinking about performance. Hey, what are we doing? We are locking this to copy it. Can we not do that? Like, this is expensive. Copying a file is expensive. Can we stop doing this? Like, yeah, we can. And it makes it this actually has changes that domino out of control, because one of the assumptions that we did is we only compact log segments, whereas now we'll have to compact any derelict main log, just not the active one. And this ties into another video, is keeping track of our files. Right now, we're doing something that's really rough on the computer. All of these things are just performance considerations. They don't make the database any more of a database, honestly. Not at all, honestly. But, you know, another thing that we do that's just horrifying, like just from a performance consideration here, this is just. And I've always been scared somebody's going to call me out on this. And again, it's like I can't solve the world in one video. But like, we do this up here. This is horrifying. Our database doesn't know what segments it has in the database. So would that video be about I/O time, what to avoid, and how to... Oh, I like that, because then we could do some experiments on like I/O time. Like, how long does it take to actually copy this file, this segment? I like that. One second, I'm writing that down. Yes. Yes. Yeah, but like, so, and maybe instead of... Okay. I think you're right. I/O time. This is almost all about I/O time. Reading from a database or from a file is much more work than reading from this hash map as well. So not only are you going to get faster reads if it does find it here, obviously that's like super fast and it doesn't have to go to a file, but you also keep your writes super fast too. And you don't want to block your writes. And then this as well, this is what's horrifying to me. We have to actually go to the system and ask it what files are part of our database. See if Copilot... Okay. Let's see if Copilot can answer it. Holy crap, this is better than I expected. This is better than I expected. And the only reason I'm excited about this is it actually got the right file. Like, it actually said, like, oh, we're talking about this null database here. Like, it pulled this out of my file system. I don't know that this is the most efficient way to actually copy bytes over. Okay, I actually think that this is a horrifying way to do this. I think that how I did it is a better way, where I actually ask the system to copy it over for me. But I think this actually does it. It doesn't time it. So, It didn't get all of it, but yeah. Well then. You are absolutely right. It failed at the premise that we wanted to do. And like I said, I would go ahead and ask the system to do it, not do this. I don't think that this is the most efficient way, but you know what I'm going to do? Oh, another thing that I've learned is like, okay, so it didn't actually import buffer writer, which is sucky, but so I don't know that this is the exact way to do this. I think it is though. Um it did the result with the box dynamic error for these, which I'm pretty impressed about. Um Oh. Okay, it doesn't like my main function. Yeah. Fine. This is what I was expecting is it needs me to there we go. There I got the buff reader, buff writer. All right. It's getting the imports. That's all the imports it needs. I think that imported it. Okay. Wait a second. Now, I don't know that this is the fastest, but maybe we should actually compare it to what I think is faster. And I think that this is faster. I could be wrong. They could do some crazy stupid stuff in here. I don't think that they do though. Do I need all of this? Maybe I'll do it the same ish way. No, oh, I want this. That's it. If nothing else, this is a lot clearer. Even if it's the exact same time, like this does it in the exact same amount of time, this is clearer. So I like cleaner. This right here, you think could be a cool YouTube short? I've been wanting to do a YouTube short or a couple. Oh, okay. I have one last thing to show you. I do need to get going. I have an appointment at 10. One last thing that I've been working on. And I wanted your opinion. What do you think? Quick question. Okay, I guess two questions. It's not an elevator algorithm, okay? Okay, I try not to think about the stupid elevator. It literally kept me up thinking one night. I was unable to sleep because I was thinking about how to beat the stupid elevator with JavaScript JSON. I hate both enough already, and that game is making me hate them even more. Like the little PTSD here from elevator algorithm. Okay. What do you think of this? Think it looks good? I'm kind of excited about it. Last thing, I got to get a font underneath here that says "Learn something new." That kind of goes with this font. I'm not sure I'm entirely satisfied with this font, but it looks nice, I think. But yeah, I want to do something like "Learn something new" underneath it. That's kind of what I tried to do. Learn something new. Unless it's you, or learn something old. I meant learn something new to you. Um, but yes, unless it's the Yaml. Yeah. Anyways, I don't know. I was kind of excited about this. I thought it looked good. I'm excited about it. Okay, I will do a short on this. I think I will probably do it part of my video as well. So I think what the short will be is it will be like, hey, if this is interesting to you and you want to see more on this database and how this affects a database and optimizations you can make, check out this other video on IO. Um, cool, cool, cool. I like that. I like that. Okay, awesome. This I'm excited because I feel like this is going to make better videos. And like I had this one fear where like if people joined my live stream, then they would stop watching my videos. I think that's hopefully not true. I don't like the videos. I find some tech YouTubers are like, I did a live stream and I made a video basically just out of my live stream. And I like producing a video. I find it interesting and fun. I enjoy it. Um, so I'd like to make like a well rehearsed one with like animations and stuff like that. Not just I paid a person to cut up my live stream. Obviously, some people like that, and we have cool conversations here, and it would be good to have that cut up like live stream. You know, as another set of videos on another account. Absolutely, because I do think some people don't get to join the live stream, and they like to see the highlights or whatever was talked about, and that's great. I think it's going to be slower because what happens here is they are going to take certain chunks. They're taking 124 chunks, byte chunks here, and they're going to read and then write all of those until it doesn't find any more. I do believe that if this is using the system, so this is something I did a while ago. If this is using the Linux system, if this actually goes out to the Linux system, oh, I didn't actually import it up here. Let's see if I don't think I'm using Mim. I don't think I'm using it. You saw. Okay. Well, I'll get the right imports for my bit of code. If this is going out and using the Linux file system, it's actually basically free, almost free. It's not free, but it's almost free. It's not copying the file. Basically, it copies it, but it's very 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 cheap, very cheap. Much cheaper than anything else I could do on the command line. So Linux is pretty good about handling it. You know what I could do even better than this? I'll have to look if Russ. What I could do is actually move it. I believe that's actually the better way to do this. Instead of copying it, is just move it because that's actually almost free because it just basically changes the name of it and then you open a new one. That is the better way of doing it. This is really dumb. Oh, your dislike of Go and YAML. Somebody was asking me if I really didn't like Go, and I think I need to make a video on it because it's not that I don't like Go. I actually like Go for the most part. My biggest complaint between I just think that Rust is legitimately a better language. So if you had to pick from one or the other, I think Rust is a better language. Not that Go is bad. Rust is just everything that it does in a better way. Like almost everything. Memory, it doesn't have a garbage collector. It's actually better. It's more efficient and it is more consistent. Error returns. Not everything is just a tuple return type, and it actually has results, and it is very standard and is just done in a better, cleaner way. That actually forces you to deal with it and not just underscore it, which is fantastic. If you want to unwrap that sucker to get the value, you have to. In Go, you don't have to, which causes runtime errors and all these other things. In Rust, it's fail fast. In Go, it's fail eventually in production. Like I said, with the runtime errors, Rust has a lot of things to prevent a runtime error. It's very difficult if you're not writing unsafe Rust to get a runtime error. You can do it. I've done it. I'm pretty sure. But it is very, very, very difficult to do. Unless you just unwrap things willy-nilly, which you shouldn't do. And I need to make a video on this because that's basically my stance on it, is that it's not that I dislike Go. I just think almost at every turn, Rust did the thing better, in a better way. Oh, you like Go? I didn't think you liked Go. I distinctly remember a time when I was like, hey, let's cannibalize Dagger, and you said, ew, Go. Those were literally your words. You said, ew, Go. Except British. Java more equally than others? I'm pretty sure I've never heard you say the word ew. Fairly positive. I'm not sure if that is part of your vocabulary. I hate all language equally, but Java more equally than others. I want that on a shirt. I want that on a shirt. Uh... All right. Well, I do need to get going. Yep. I have some stuff I have to do tonight. This was a good conversation. I didn't actually get more done on my. I actually got back into the my database, which I hadn't touched for a while, for a very long while. So this was good because I've been wanting to make this, and this is hopefully going to make some really good videos from it. The cost of IO, I really like it. Anyways, see everyone. Thank you all for joining me. I really appreciate it, and I will see you guys Saturday. Not sure what we're doing yet Saturday. Well, elevators. I guess elevators. We will do some elevators on Saturday. And we will do some of the next class in Rust. Oh, shoot. I need to make that video. I really reworked it after the feedback and everything. Kind of got a little bit into a rework, and I haven't. Shoot. Meant to release that tomorrow. Oh well. Oh well. Have a good evening.